What's up, guys? Well, I don't really know how to do this. How do you tell your story and not leave out a bunch or include too much? We'll start with the beginning, I guess. So, hi, I'm Jeremy. Decided 15 years late to start up a YouTube channel. I love fishing. I'm consumed with fishing. I'm ate up with it. I want to compete. I want to fish at a high level. Problem is, I'm middle-aged and I took a lot of time off. I wouldn't say time off, but I took time away from fishing. Almost 11 years from competitive fishing. So I would say this channel and doing a story like this is going to be kind of difficult for someone like me. I don't plan on doing a lot of edits. Not on here. I'll do edits on all the boat stuff and the fishing stuff and trips and catches and stuff like that, but I'm not going to do it for this. This is just me. Raw, unfiltered. Talking about what it's like to be ate up with fishing and the journey that it took for me to get all the way back. Because I started tournament fishing again September of last year. And we just getting started. So, I guess we'll start from there. Most people don't know I used to make lures for this group right here, Black Angel Lures. I used to make lures all day long. Sometimes all night long. I've been a guy that's worked in quality for almost, I don't know, most of my adult life, whether it's managing quality, VP of quality, director of quality, whatever. So I got an attention to detail problem because I probably overanalyze everything. But I would say around 2005, I started my journey in tournament fishing. And, I kind of got the curse. Fished with a buddy. In my very first tournament ever is a partner tournament on Lone Star. And I think we finished in the money or we won. I can't even remember. But I showed up, paid some money, and left with more money than I paid. So it was the instant curse, right? Hooked. Literally, it's just hooked. And I ran around and I fished every damn thing I could fish. I mean, after that, I went and got a boat, went and I fished everything. It's the funny thing about East Texas, there's so many little lakes everywhere that in the summer, you can basically fish a night tournament on a different lake every night of the week. And I used to do that. And that helped me get a little bit of attention. Just because I was always everywhere. That was a lot of fun. And I used to do it. Didn't win all the time. There were some lakes I was a lot stronger on than others, but held my own, did my thing. And over time I wanted to start fishing BFLs, and I fished BFLs and signed up as a co-angler the first year because I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to learn, just wanted to see what it was like, how does this work, right? And that first year I learned a ton. Most importantly, I learned I could do this. But second, most importantly, I learned a lot from the people that I got to fish with. Some good, some bad, one bad. Everybody else was pretty decent, but I had some great people to sit back and watch. Glenn Freeman, that's one of them. I got paired up with him one day, and I just watched him put on a clinic. And I believe that was Livingston. I watched him put on a clinic, man. I actually stopped fishing and just watched. I was drenched. I was so green back then that I didn't even have like a rain suit, and what I thought was waterproof wasn't waterproof. But I learned a lot. I learned more in that day than I did with anybody else. It was pretty interesting. And that's no disrespect. I fished with Brad Watley that year on Rayburn. Right? We used to compete all the time locally against each other. But that first BFL, I think, on Rayburn, I was paired with Brad. So everybody had their own little things. And it was a lot back then to take all that in. And I think the very next year I just started fishing on my own as a pro. Um, did all right for myself, you know. Yeah, could always be counted on for bringing in one big fish at least, you know. Always a contender for big bass because I would never put the frog down, and I still won't. But that became my specialty, and you know, over time you get sponsors and, you know, products and stuff, and things were going good. And we got to a little stretch there around 2012. You know, marriage isn't going good, finances are tight, all that stuff. Job sucked, and it was just time for me to figure out something. So started making lures nonstop, and while I was doing that, I got a phone call just out of the blue from some random company in San Francisco offering me an opportunity to come to San Francisco and teach them how to use a, you know, basically a measurement machine. And man, I struggled. It took me 3-4 days. I said no a couple times, and then they called me back and talked to family, and it's like, all right, well. And I packed up and I drove all the way to San Francisco. Sold the boat. The only thing I took with me was my clothes and my fishing stuff. It's the only thing I took with me. It was a wild ride. I think East Texas boy running all the way to San Francisco. Once you get there, it's a little eye-opening, to say the least. I think the first thing I remember is pulling up to the hotel I was supposed to be staying at, and it was completely surrounded by the South San Francisco police gang unit. I don't even know how I stayed there. I was there for a year and a half. I don't even know how I survived there. But luckily made some good friends out there, put out the feelers on Facebook. Hey, who fishes out here? And there's this old cat, Sean Wayman. You may see him on social media. He's got a YouTube channel called The Average Angler. Sean was decent enough to take me out. We went to go a couple different lakes. I think we went to the Delta just to fun fish, and I think he got me to fish some one bass stuff. I think it was Berryessa and Oroville. Can't remember, man. But that's how I stayed in touch with fishing without being in fishing, right? And just fish as a co-angler. And I met some more great people. Dustin Tacker. I mean, I can go on and on. It's just Brian Smith, Cody Meyer, Chris Zaldane. You know, met a bunch of people out there, and most of them were through Heist Tackle, which is the tackle shop in South San Francisco that you would never even believe it's sitting down there, but it's there. These people are great. They were the nicest to me. I wandered in there one day just to try and feel at home, and they made me feel at home. And they got some great baits in there too. If you ever go in there, tell them I said hi, tell them I sent you. I don't get to go back to California very often anymore. But when I do, every time I do, and they'll attest to this, every time I come back to San Francisco, I stop in there, say hi. I don't care if it's 2 hours out of my way. If I'm in San Jose, I still come down, pick up some stuff, and head out. But yeah, for 10 years, 11 years, traveled around, landed a permanent gig through that gig, and started the plan. 10 years, and I want to be done. I want to go fish. That was the plan. So that's what I did. 9.5 years in, basically 9 years in, the company I was with asked me to relocate to Texas to go fix, Austin, Texas, which isn't really Texas. We won't get into that. But they asked me to relocate, and I did it because it got me back to Texas. And I think I was there 4 months, and I went straight to Texas Boat World, and they got me to stand on the front deck of that FXR Skeeter And yeah, it's in the garage. I just had sucker written all over me, man. But I remember driving home after picking up the boat, driving home and just crying like a baby. It's hard when you love something to walk away. It's hard to trust in a plan. But damn it, the plan worked. It's frustrating, and it still is, I'm not gonna lie, it's frustrating. Proud of all of them, but it's frustrating to watch guys I fished against every other day on the Elite Series, in the MLF. There's so many circuits now, I can't name them all, but man, I fished against somebody in every one of them. And I sat back and watched, and I cheered them on, rooted them on, did the best I could to, be supportive while choking down the fact that I couldn't do it. So when I got to Texas and bought that boat, I was all in, man, all in. But I wasn't there long enough to really do anything. I ended up leaving Texas and making a mistake, huge mistake. I left the job and just went backwards in everything. So after 10 years of planning, it took me 2 months to screw it up, 4 months to get out of there. And I've been rebuilding ever since. And I got back in Arizona 2 years ago now. Almost 2 years, it'll be 2 years in August. And I didn't start tournament fishing until September of 2025. That's my redo, when I started over again. Thanks to another guy at work, young kid, likes to talk a lot of smack. Good little fisherman though. And we went out and we started fishing. I also have to give credit to Josh Bertrand. He took me out. We hit a couple different lakes, and man, really lit the fire. Just really lit the fire. So we'll go through, I'll break things down in those years or whatever, but I think the most important thing is when you have a plan, stick to it. Overthink a lot of things, but not everything. And when it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I think everybody learned that with dual thread, right? So, which will be a whole nother topic, but still. I look in that garage, I see that truck, and I see that boat. And I'm just grateful that I've gotten back this far. The plan is to go farther. The plan to have this channel is to talk about how we get there. And every bump in the road I hit, we're gonna share. Like I said, I'm not trying to portray some life that isn't real. For a lot of us that want to fish for a living, it's a struggle. And I think we should form a group of all of us that are doing this, because we all need that confidence. We all need that person that has the same drive, the same end goal. Because we have our good days, we have our bad days on the water. Shit happens all the time, man. And Arizona seems to happen a lot more than I'm used to. This place has been wild, but again, different video. But we all start questioning it. So what I'd like to do with this is continue to share stories like this. Build up the people that I will probably eventually end up competing against, because it's not about them. It's not about them. Not for me. I'm not competing against them. I'm competing against fish, and I'm competing against myself. I just need to go catch the 5 biggest ones that I can find, right? But there's so many of us that have talent, and we'll take myself out of that loop, but there's a large group of anglers out there that have a tremendous amount of talent, but they don't have the support. They don't have the belief in themselves, financially, whatever the case may be, and they can't go chase it. So let's figure that out. Let's develop a community that can figure this out. I'm tired of watching the same people all trying to split the same share of sponsors. I'm not personally comfortable running around asking for sponsorship anymore. But if we take care of ourselves, sponsors will come to us. So, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. I'll share anything worth a worth a shit. Um, you know, the motto in life: it ain't about what you do; it's what you get done. So you can run around saying, "I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that." But at the end of the day, what you get done. So today, ask yourself that: what'd you get done? It's all about that. And we're about to flip this whole script and get after it. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. If you got any comments, share them below. If not, I'll see you on the next one.